when I speak at a conference, the first thing that I always start with is I show them an image of a bus, inside of a big yellow bus, and I show them a high school cafeteria filled with kids. And I say, technically, there's no rules on where you sit. But what are the rules? What are the unspoken rules? And they immediately start talking about social hierarchies. They immediately start talking about where the bad kids sit or where the cool kids sit, or you can't sit here. They bring up Mean Girls. They bring up Forrest Gump, walking down the aisle, being told he can't sit there, he can't sit there. And I said, so when we give those free spaces, what we're really creating is social rigidity. And the scariest part about that social rigidity is that students like my son, who are on the margins, who are nonverbal, who come from difficult backgrounds, who are low economic, who are part of different communities, are always the first students who are pushed out of that. So who loves those spaces? The students with the highest social power, and they love to be at that peak. So what I love to explain is when I shuffle my students every single week, I compare it to taking an ant jar and shaking it. It completely disrupts the entire hierarchy. They look around, they don't know who to look to, who's the person, who sits with where, we don't know, and they look to me. And what do I do as a teacher? I create those safe spaces. I create those spaces for collaboration, and I encourage them to learn from one another.
Good. That's good. I totally agree with that. I'm not a believer in you stay in one seat the whole entire year, because like they'll get trenched into one space. And the longer you let them stay in one space, the more difficult it is to get them out of that one space. It
And
just, yeah.
and on top of that, my big thing, I've talked to many different students about this, and they'll even say, I would like to move, but that's an unsafe thing to do, because they're leaving a particular group who will now say, what, you're too good for us, you're walking away, you're not going to sit with us. But there's also a chance they're going to sit with another group and be rejected. So what do? It's all about safety in those situations. For good or for bad, they're going to stay with that particular group. And what I can always tell when I walk by a class, I can always tell who mixed up their students and who let them sit where they want, because the boys are always on one side, the girls are always on the other, and they do not talk with each other.